Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do kind of the Broken Tech mini episode here. This is my company supplied HP ZBook G317. This is my work laptop, and since we've all been home on pandemic scares, I've actually been using this thing quite a bit. And not that I don't use it like in the office, but in the office I have it sitting on a desk and hooked up to monitors and stuff like that. At home I'm using it literally on my lap most of the time. So as a consequence of that, it's developed kind of a little bit of like dust in the fan and stuff like that from just like sitting on my lap with a blanket on. And so since our quarantine period is up in Indiana, I was actually supposed to be going back to work Wednesday, but the last thing that happened before I shut this thing off is I got an email from my boss saying that we're not going back until probably the 11th now, and that's just kind of a internal company thing. But since we were all scheduled to go back, I got all geared up to go ahead and give this thing just kind of a reasonably decent quick cleaning or dust out, so I thought we'd just do that right quick. But before we get started with this thing, we need to talk a little bit about tools. Mostly because I've never been into one of these things before, and you'll notice right away this is not one of my beloved Dells, and particularly not one of my beloved 10-year-old Dell E-series models, so these things are kind of a pain to work on. And the first thing they've done to make it kind of a pain to work on is it's all held together with a bunch of T8 Torx bits. And if you've never seen one before, that is a T8. It's super tiny. Just for some frame of reference, that is a T40. So this is a pretty large Torx bit, and this is the guy we're going to be using. So you can see it's a pretty tiny guy, and the only way I have any of these are in these bits. I don't have any bit drivers or anything like that in Torx this size. So that presents us with a small bit of a problem, because normally the bit holders that you would use for these are magnetic. So you have a bit holder and a bit, and you put them together, and there's a magnet in here that holds the stuff together. Well, I don't know what's in this thing. I don't know if it's got a hard drive in it. I don't know if it's full of SSDs. I don't know anything about it, so I don't want to start using magnets around this thing. So what I've got here is actually a non-magnetic bit holder. I just happened to get lucky that I own this thing at all. If you look down in it, it's actually got a little spring collar in there that holds the bits in, and you can see there's no magnet in there. It's just an empty hollow hole. So this guy is completely computer safe. And I tried to look one of these up for you guys to give you a link to go on Amazon or something and get one, and they are hard to find. The only one that I found that for sure was non-magnetic was Snap-on. And come on, we're not going to tell you guys you got to go buy Snap-on tools to blow dust out of a laptop. So what we're going to do instead is use this amalgamation of contrivances. All this is a regular 1/4-inch drive socket bit T-handle. So you just put a 1/4-inch drive socket on it. This is just a regular 1/4-inch socket, which will hold a 1/4-inch specification quick bit there. And when I say hold, it doesn't actually hold it. But then we can use this to disassemble the thing without having any fear of magnetism. And these are all things that are very easy for everybody to get, except possibly the T8. I'll give you a link down in the description to a bit set that includes this guy. And then the final thing we're going to do, just to make sure that everything is on the up and up, is we're going to take our assembled contrivance here and run it through this tool magnetizer, demagnetizer. Really all this is a magnet in a plastic box with the poles labeled for you. But it's a nice thing to have around for like $5 or $6 or whatever it costs. I'll link one of these too. We're just going to run it through the demagnetized side just to make sure there's no magnetism here. Under our towel here is a steel cart. I'm not getting any amount of magnetism that I can feel, so we're going to call that a win. So now on with the show. It looks like we're probably going to have to pull all these out. And another reason I'm doing this is we don't actually have an IT guy at work right now. And these things are actually going to have to go back to corporate soon, because it looks like they're going to upgrade us all to Windows 10. So I just kind of want to get it all cleaned up before they get in there. However, when we did have an IT guy, he worked on this thing, and I know he halfway stripped out some of these Torx screws with the wrong bit, because I had to go out to my car and get one to loan him so he could actually install RAM in it, which was pretty hilarious. However, here we are now, hoping that we can get them all out again. And it looks like we're going to be taking them all out, because I can see his battle scars on them all. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 freaking screws. You guys see why I love the old Dells so much. One screw. So let's just go right for our middle dude here. Drop everything all over the place. Oh, are these all captive? That would be cool. Let's see if they're all captive. And when I say captive, meaning that they don't actually come out of the holes, that they just stay there. That one was super loose and is clearly a different length. It's going to get really annoying using this instead of the bit holder I have. I just wanted to show you guys that you don't need super elaborate tools to do this. It is just nice. And you can also see just how much dust and stuff and lint has been picked up in those fans in the last almost 2 months at home now. And these guys are in at an angle, which might be why he kind of boogered them. What a stupid design. I don't believe that one is in threads at all. It's just been hanging out for the ride. Get our other duders up here. These also at an angle. Like an idiot designed this thing? Yes. Good grief. Okay, so I think we got all our screws out. Let's see if the back just lifts off. Looks like sort of. Yep. And I didn't actually remove any screws from any holes. Maybe I should. This one down here where he maybe stripped the thread or missed it or something might give us a problem. Okay, there we go. Just needed kajiggered with, I guess. Let's see if these screws are captive. Nope. All those screws will just fall out of there if you just push them. I don't know why this center one didn't. So we are going to just leave them all where they are because I don't know if they're all different lengths or what. Yes, they are. Yeah. So, yeah, those are all different lengths. Awesome. Awesome design, HP. I freaking hate HP laptops, just FYI. If you're watching this as a how-to for years, I'm not trying to insult you. I just don't like them. I probably don't like new Dells either. But you can see we've accumulated quite a bit of dust and stuff in here. And I've also had this thing like 3 years. So this is its first cleaning as far as I'm aware. And to clean it, I've got regular old compressed air out of my regular old garage air compressor. You can use canned air if that's what you have available or whatever you want. The only thing I'll note here is, one, I've done this about 100 million times in my life and never had a problem. And two, I brought the air compressor up to full pressure probably over an hour ago at this point. So the compressor, the air in the compressor is nice and cool, so all the moisture in the air should have settled out to the bottom of the tank by now. So let's just get her cleaned up. Dust bunnies. And I'm just holding these fans so they don't whip around. You can overspeed these fans pretty easily and tear them up if you did let them do that. Like if you just heard it go, whee! That's not a good noise. Oh, also of note, this is the first laptop I've ever been in where you cannot service the battery without taking the laptop apart. So that's why we didn't disconnect the battery first, like we would on the Dells you've seen me service. And it looks like I was partially correct to be concerned. This is a regular old mechanical hard drive in here. There's probably an SSD or maybe two in it. Yeah, there's an SSD right there. There might be an SSD back here. In fact, this is an M2 SSD. I recently had a commenter ask me about that as opposed to M-SATA. These are narrower and they come in varying lengths, whereas M-SATA is just one size. And I'll throw a flag to my M-SATA installation video for you, so you can check that out if you want. Another interesting thing about this particular laptop is these air exhausts actually exhaust through the back of the thing as opposed to the side like most of the stuff I've ever seen. So we're also going to want to take our compressed air and try and back feed it a little bit if we can. I'm still holding the fan with my thumb as I do that. Let's get our other side. Okay, I'm going to set him off to the side. And I have left the battery in this connected, so we need to be careful about how we set it and where we set it, because we don't want anything to get in there and short out any electronics. Now let's address our rear cover that still has all the screws in it, so I don't want to flip it over. So we're just going to take our blowgun up through the back and mesh out like so. Looking pretty good. It's pretty dusty before. Looks like we've still got some uglies in there. You guys can see that even with blowing it out with compressed air, and that's unregulated, so that's like 120 psi, that it's still left some dust behind. So I'm figuring we're in for a penny, we're in for a pound. Let's go ahead and take to that with some isopropyl alcohol and Q-tips and just see if we can get it cleaned out, because we're here. May as well try and do a nice job. And I do count on this thing to pay my bills, so let's try and keep some decent care of it. I believe that's much better. Nice and clean. Cool. We're going to give that alcohol a minute or two to dry and then slap her back together. So it has been a minute or two. The alcohol has dried, and now it's the good old story of assembly is reverse of disassembly. We still have all our screws in here, so everything is going to go back from which it came. Okay, that just dropped on nicely. Let's see if we can actually get them all threaded in, unlike the last guy that did this. Oh, and if you guys haven't been around here before, the trick to getting stuff like this started in thread easily, so you don't strip stuff out, is to start it backward, and you'll hear it click when it drops in. Like that. Now it's in thread. So just like so, we will just run around the whole thing doing that. Yeah. It wasn't quite seated, so I just gave it a little squish there on the front and just jumped right back where it wanted to go. No big deal, at least I think. No, there we go. Now it's squished back in where it wanted to go. And these stupid angled fasteners really are stupid. That's like a great way to damage thread, is to put them in at a weird angle. I don't know why they couldn't just put these in straight. And this corner over here that wasn't tightened anything before is going to stay that way, because I got a feeling he damaged that hole, or it's got the wrong screw in it, or I don't know. We'll give it a little more effort and see if we can get something to happen. Yeah, that guy's just along for the ride now. I'm not the guy that broke it, and I did not actually tighten any of these before, and they don't need to be tight. We're just going to go back and snug them down, if they will. I believe that's another one that's got damaged threads. Let's just double check, make sure this one's stripped out. Was it that one? Maybe it was this one. I don't know. There's 8,000 screws. Yeah, he destroyed the threads in these two holes when he did it. So that is as good as she's going to get. Now that the alcohol is drying, I can see like some dust remaining behind. We're just going to live with it. Failed to mention, I also switched back off to my other bit holder, because I'm only willing to suffer for my art so much. And our last step here is to see if it boots up. And there's probably only so much of this I'm going to be able to show you guys, which I think the camera angle is going to be just perfect for that, because you're not going to be able to see anything except power. Hey, keyboard backlighting illuminated, that's a good sign. Starting Windows. So I'm going to say we've got a successful dusting of the laptop. I'll probably go over the case and everything on it and just wipe it down with like Windex and a paper towel, and I'll clean the screen with my microfiber and cleaning solution, all that good stuff. But as far as the computer specific portion of this, I believe we're done. Really not a whole lot to most laptops just to get the back off and dust them out. This is probably one of the more complicated ones I've ever done, because we had what, like 11 screws to take out. But that's the nature of this beast apparently. So as always guys, I want to thank you for stopping in, and we'll catch you on the next one. I'm Max, that's Saddington Bear, and we make videos like this all the time. Here are a couple links to some other videos we've made, and we really appreciate you guys stopping in.